What's up, guys? Falcon here again. Today I'm gonna make a little bit of a different video. Not working on, well, I am working on some cars today, but I'm gonna fix my son's 3DS. I'm gonna be installing the charging port since he broke it. So charging port was probably only about $1.50, $2, depends where you buy them. So it's a very inexpensive part. You will need some soldering experience on this, and the tools that I'll be using is a Philip, really tiny one, something to pry off. He's gonna have two connectors on the inside. This is basically a toolkit that when I replace my wife's screen on her iPhone that cracked. So this is what I'm gonna be using. This is the 3DS. So I'm gonna start off by taking off these 3 screws right here. I'm gonna take those off and I'll show you guys how to take off this lid right here. Alright, so I loosened them up and basically just gonna pry this open right here. So it just opens straight up and pulls out. You'll see these 2 tabs right here on the bottom. So it's same thing when you put it on. It goes in like this and then you close it and then you retighten those out. This is the battery. So first off, we're going to be taking off the battery. There it is, put it to the side. So this is the inside of it right here. We're going to take off a bunch of Phillips screws again. This one, this one, this one. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So I'm gonna loosen up, take all those off, and then be right back. Alright, here we go. Took off all those 8 Phillips screws. So put them off to the side. Don't forget about this little silver one, which that one actually goes right here. So now with all that off, you should be able just to pull this off here very carefully. You can see it. Here we are. Now what we got to be really careful with is basically we got 2 connectors that we need to unplug, which is going to be this one right there and that one right there. So that one and this one, and basically just going to be using like a little prying tool. Just going to put it under it and pull it straight out on both of them. Here it is. Pull them straight out. Now I can take this cover off, and these are just like connectors. They basically just snap into place. No biggie. You just gotta make sure that when you pull them out, this one here, pull it straight out. Try doing it on both sides, that way it loosens it up, and then as soon as you pull it out, it just pops right out. Same thing on the other one. And this is the part we're gonna be replacing here. This right here. So it's soldered in to 4 spots. Here, 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 here. Actually 6, sorry. All these spots here gonna be soldered in. So with a soldered, all I'm gonna do right now with a soldering gun is gonna be touching each one. And just by touching it a couple of seconds, I should see it loosen up. After that, should be able just to pop this thing out. And then I'm gonna put a little bit of more soldering into these ones. And then once I put the new one into place, I'm gonna touch it again and let that solder melt. And then as soon as you let go, almost instantly it's gonna basically solder it to the connector here. Same thing on each one of them. So alright, well, here we go. My soldering pencil, it's hot already, so it's a little difficult to do with one hand and the camera and kind of showing you guys. Basically, I'm just gonna touch that a couple of seconds and it should loosen it up enough for me to pull it out. Now I already did this first side and it just came apart because it's completely broken. So there it is. But basically here the soldering points right here. 1, 2. These two were already broken because of the piece that's missing from the inside. And now I'm just gonna touch right here for a couple of seconds and it's just gonna loosen it up. And then I'm gonna take this whole thing off. And I'm gonna put a little bit like a tip of solder on the tip of this. Once I'm done, that way I can put a little bit more solder in there. And then I'm gonna start doing the same thing one at a time, touching them, letting them melt. As soon as it melts, it'll sink into it, and then you let go of it and it'll dry it off within seconds. Here we go. I added just a little bit more solder to each connection point. And look, I'm gonna touch it just for a couple of seconds and you'll see it melt right away. So you really don't have to do this for too long. As soon as you touch it, it'll melt. If this is hot enough, it'll melt. So just added a little bit more solder right here. Then I'm gonna put the new one, put it up here, and then very slowly, gently touch each one for a couple of seconds, and it'll melt. And then something you gotta be really careful about also is that you don't put too much solder where you're gonna have basically this one touching this one, same thing and so forth. So you gotta make sure there is a space in between each one, that way they don't touch each other. So I'm gonna put the new one back on and show you how it looks. Alright, here we go. I already soldered it back on. You can tell it's already soldered in there. So basically what I'm gonna do now is apply just a tiny itsy bitsy more solder in each one of those spots, but you can see it melt right away as soon as you touch it. So just gonna make sure you add a little bit more to make it all nice and make sure everything's touching the way it should be. And then just gonna start putting everything back on. Be really careful with that connector and that connector. So we're gonna put the lid over here on the top. We're gonna put the lid and then the connector should just fall into place. Just make sure you click them into place. Just make sure that you don't break them or anything. Alright, here we go. Put the connectors back in there. Basically you just gotta put the connector on top and then feel it with your finger. You'll feel once it kind of just falls into place, and then just push it down. It should just click right into place, and then that's it. Just put everything back on. Alright, here we go. Moment of truth. Plugged in. Powered on. There we go. Works like a charm.